On the fateful day of July 30th, 2000, a tragedy unfolded. Three men, gathered in the casual setting of a Richland County backyard in South Carolina, shared drinks and conversation. Their names were Leslie Todd Parvin, Edgar Lopez, and Pablo Gutierrez Guzman. Little did they know this seemingly ordinary gathering would soon descend into violence. As the afternoon wore on, tensions escalated between Leslie Todd Parvin, Edgar Lopez, and Pablo Gutierrez Guzman. The convivial atmosphere dissolved as the day progressed, and suddenly, a heated dispute erupted among the trio, shattering the peace of the afternoon. In a shocking turn of events, Leslie reached for a concealed handgun tucked into his waistband, and tragically ended the lives of both Edgar Lopez and Pablo Gutierrez Guzman. The exact catalyst for the deadly argument remains shrouded in mystery, leaving investigators to piece together the fragments of truth. In the immediate aftermath of the horrifying double homicide, Parvin made a desperate attempt to escape, fleeing to Louisiana in his green Kia minivan. Upon reaching Louisiana, he drastically altered his appearance by shaving his head, and then proceeded to destroy the murder weapon, the very gun that had extinguished the lives of his two victims. He also destroyed the getaway vehicle, the green Kia minivan, in an attempt to erase any trace of his crime. For a brief period, Parvin successfully evaded capture, remaining a fugitive from justice. However, his freedom would be short-lived, as law enforcement quickly initiated a meticulous search, scrutinizing license plate records. Their focus narrowed to all registered green Kia minivans in Louisiana, hoping to find a crucial lead, as revealed in the official investigation documents. In the aftermath of the brutal double homicide, a witness came forward and provided law enforcement with a fragmented license plate number belonging to Parvin's minivan. A few days later, acting on a hunch, investigators ingeniously utilized Google Maps Street View, inputting the suspect's residential address. Lo and behold, the virtual reconnaissance yielded a positive result: a green minivan, parked conspicuously in front of Parvin's residence, bearing license plates and possessing physical characteristics that perfectly correlated with the eyewitness account previously provided to authorities. With such irrefutable evidence stacked against him, Parvin's prospects for acquittal dwindled significantly. His fate seemed sealed. On August 19, a family member facilitated Parvin's return to his dwelling in the Windsor Lake vicinity, where he was swiftly apprehended and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. He was subsequently found guilty and sentenced to a 35-year term of imprisonment. As the investigation unfolded, a startling revelation came to light. Parvin was a decorated 20-year veteran of the armed forces, having served his country in 5 separate overseas deployments. Furthermore, he was severe of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, a diagnosis officially rendered in 2007. According to his father's poignant court testimony, Parvin's 2 decades of dedicated military service and the psychological strength for his deployments near the volatile regions of Iraq and Afghanistan significantly contributed to his erratic behavior and ultimately influenced his actions on the fateful day of the incident. One would reasonably assume that, after 2 decades of unwavering dedication and selfless service to his nation, Parvin, a decorated veteran, would have been provided with adequate and appropriate mental health care and treatment to assist him in processing his experiences and enable him to live a peaceful and fulfilling life. Instead, tragically, 2 innocent individuals lost their lives, and the perpetrator himself, burdened by his actions, is now condemned to spend a significant portion of his remaining years incarcerated behind bars. 35 long years after committing this heinous crime, at the advanced age of 75, Parvin will be granted his release from prison, stepping out into a world that has undergone immense transformation and which he may no longer recognize. In July 2018, Channel 4 broadcasted an exceptionally disturbing and deeply unsettling video recording, depicting a contingent of uniformed men forcefully escorting a group of vulnerable women and children along a desolate dirt road towards an isolated and deserted patch of land. Upon reaching this forsaken location, the armed men then, callously and without remorse, executed the defenseless victims at gunpoint. In the harrowing footage, the perpetrators can be distinctly heard leveling accusations against the women and children, branding them as members of the infamous terrorist organization Boko Haram. The video rapidly gained global attention, with hundreds of individuals swiftly claiming that the horrifying footage originated from Cameroon. However, the Cameroonian government vehemently refuted these allegations, asserting that the video was not filmed within their borders, and that their military was being unjustly accused of committing atrocities against civilians. Yet, the BBC remained skeptical, and their investigative team embarked on a mission to uncover the truth. Their objective: to identify the perpetrators responsible for the horrific acts depicted in the video, pinpoint the location of the incident, and determine when it occurred. Acting on an anonymous lead, they utilized Google Maps to meticulously examine the topography of a specific area in Cameroon. Their analysis revealed that the mountain range, distinctly visible in the video's backdrop, was situated near a village known as Krava-Mafa, in close proximity to the Nigerian border. By meticulously examining years of Google satellite imagery covering the specific area, the investigative team from the BBC successfully pinpointed the timeframe of the incident, narrowing it down to a period between March 20th and April 5th, 2015. Delving deeper into the investigation, it became evident that the Cameroonian government's narrative lacked transparency and truthfulness. When they refuted the allegations, as an illustration, the government asserted that the Cameroonian army did not utilize weaponry, matching those depicted in the video footage. However, the BBC's comprehensive analysis unveiled that the firearms were, in fact, Serbian-made Zastava M20s, specifically the Z. To provide further clarity on the situation, an official inquiry was launched into the conduct of 7 military personnel. Subsequently, when the BBC presented its comprehensive report to the Cameroonian authorities, the nation's Minister of Communication reportedly declared that 7 soldiers had been apprehended and relieved of their weapons. They are currently the subjects of an ongoing investigation. He stated, "I can affirm without reservation that all 7 individuals are presently incarcerated." In a subsequent announcement, the Cameroonian government disclosed the identities of the 7 individuals in custody. The BBC corroborated that several of those detained matched the individuals depicted in the video footage. These individuals were observed carrying out the executions of the defenseless women and children. In 2020, 4 of the soldiers implicated in the video recording were each sentenced to a decade of imprisonment for their involvement in the homicides. A 5th soldier received a 2-year sentence for documenting and disseminating the graphic content. The remaining 2 soldiers were exonerated from all charges. It's a disconcerting thought that individuals can perpetrate such heinous acts and receive a mere 10-year prison sentence as punishment, but at the very least, those responsible are finally facing the consequences of their actions. This breakthrough came about due to a meticulous and comprehensive analysis of the video's contents, cross-referenced with Google's satellite imagery to pinpoint crucial locations. Between the years 2010 and 2011, a grim discovery unfolded. The remains of 11 individuals were found near the desolate shores of Gilgo Beach. This chilling scene was located on Long Island's South Shore, specifically within the jurisdictional boundaries of Nassau and Suffolk counties. Tragically, a majority of the victims were identified as women working as escorts, whose lives were cruelly cut short, some as far back as 1993. However, it wasn't until the year 2023 that authorities finally achieved a significant breakthrough, apprehending Rex Heuermann, a 60-year-old architect and a father of 2 children. Heuermann was definitively linked to these heinous crimes through a combination of irrefutable DNA evidence, incriminating cell phone records meticulously analyzed, and compelling connections established between his Chevy Avalanche and the crime scenes. Following his arrest, Rex Heuermann was initially charged with the murders of 4 women. Subsequently, the charges were expanded to include the deaths of 2 additional women, as further DNA analysis solidified his connection to these horrific acts. In a disturbing revelation, investigators uncovered evidence that the suspect had utilized multiple disposable burner phones to conduct thousands of internet searches, raising further questions about the extent of his activities, directly connected to the horrific acts he would later inflict upon his victims. And to compound the unsettling nature of the findings, investigators unearthed a massive Word document hidden on a hard drive in Heuermann's basement. This document contained chillingly detailed plans outlining the murders of his victims. The level of detail was shockingly explicit, leaving investigators deeply disturbed. Disturbingly, the document included meticulous checklists, methodically outlining each step Huerman intended to take before, during, and after carrying out his heinous killings. Based on the compelling court evidence presented, authorities believe Huerman began his criminal activities as far back as 1993. And if the jury finds him guilty of these horrific crimes, he will face the prospect of spending the rest of his life behind bars, serving multiple consecutive life sentences. As of 2024, the case remains open, and the investigation continues. However, as the investigation progressed, even more unsettling details have come to light, further deepening the mystery. In 2023, internet users made a disturbing discovery: a Google Street View image seemingly depicting Huerman engaged in conversation with an unidentified woman near his office on East 36th Street. This chilling image was captured more than a year before his arrest. Currently, the identity of this woman remains a complete mystery. There's a strong possibility that she could have been a potential victim in this case. However, at this point, we cannot definitively confirm that. Disturbingly, in the photograph, Rex seems to be sporting the same attire he donned during a YouTube interview conducted earlier in 2022. In that interview, he discussed his professional role as an architect, employed by a prominent firm situated on Fifth Avenue. His legal representative, Michael Brown, asserted to the New York Post that law enforcement authorities have apprehended the incorrect individual. Back in September of 2008, a 14-year-old Dutch boy was cycling in the municipality of Groningen, located approximately 110 miles northeast of the capital city of Amsterdam. Suddenly, two young men approached him from behind, forcibly removed him from his bicycle, and stole €165 along with his mobile phone. For a period of several months, law enforcement was unable to locate the perpetrators due to a lack of witnesses coming forward. Their investigation relied solely on the boy's account of the assailant's appearance. In March of the subsequent year, the victim accessed his computer and began browsing Google Maps. He used Street View to examine the exact location where he had been mugged. Approximately 6 months prior, to his utter astonishment, the Google Street View car had inadvertently captured the two perpetrators approaching him from behind, just moments before the assault took place. As is standard procedure with these types of images to protect privacy, the faces of both assailants and the victim had been digitally obscured. However, the young man immediately contacted law enforcement and alerted them to this significant breakthrough in the case. Armed with the Street View images, the authorities formally requested Google to provide them with the unredacted versions of the pictures, in order to facilitate the identification of the suspects. Remarkably, upon receiving the unblurred images, investigators instantly recognized one of the attackers from a prior offense. The other suspect was subsequently identified as the first mugger's identical twin brother. After confirming their identities, Dutch police successfully apprehended and arrested the twin brothers. While I haven't been able to locate official documentation, I believe they were formally charged and sentenced for their crimes. It remains a mystery whether the young boy ever recovered his stolen phone and money. Kim Wall, a talented and accomplished Swedish journalist, was only 30 years old. Driven by a passion for social justice, she embarked on journeys across the globe, reporting from the front lines of inequality and human rights. Her courageous pursuit of truth led her to diverse and often challenging locations, including Uganda, Cuba, the remote Marshall Islands, and the vibrant landscapes of Kenya. Kim's insightful and compelling articles frequently graced the pages of renowned publications, earning her recognition in prestigious journals such as the New York Times, the South China Morning Post, and The Atlantic. In the summer of 2017, while visiting Copenhagen with her boyfriend, Kim crossed paths with Peter Madsen, a celebrated Danish inventor and self-proclaimed engineer with a reputation for brilliance and eccentricity. Madsen's ingenuity extended to the creation of his own personal submarine, the design and construction of innovative rockets, and audacious plans for a future space voyage, aiming to launch himself into the cosmos. On August 10th of that fateful year, Peter Madsen invited Kim Wall on a seemingly innocuous trip along the Copenhagen coast, aboard his self-built submarine, the UC-3 Nautilus, for what was intended to be a short interview. Tragically, following that fateful voyage, Kim Wall vanished without a trace. She was never seen alive again. When Kim failed to return later that day, As planned, her worried partner officially reported her disappearance to the authorities, prompting the official launch of a full-scale investigation. Just days later, on August 21st, in the waters off Reef Chaleoan, cyclists made a gruesome discovery: body parts washed ashore on the beach. In close proximity to where Kim Wall had last been seen, approximately 6 weeks later, the remaining parts of her dismembered body were recovered from several weighted bags by police divers during an extensive underwater search. As the investigation intensified, Madsen was brought in for questioning by authorities. However, he vehemently denied any involvement in Wall's death or the dismemberment of her body. Instead, Madsen initially claimed that Kim Wall had tragically died due to an accidental blow to the head, caused by the heavy hatch of the submarine. Suspiciously, his story later changed, with Madsen offering a contradictory account of events. He then asserted that Wall had succumbed to toxic fumes inside the vessel, despite the absence of any evidence of such fumes in her system according to toxicology reports. Adding to the mounting evidence against him, authorities discovered 15 stab wounds on Kim Wall's body. After a period of detention and interrogation, Madsen finally confessed to the brutal murder of Kim Wall. He admitted to dismembering her body and disposing of the parts in the Baltic Sea. In April 2018, Peter Madsen was found guilty and convicted on 3 counts: murder, indecent handling of a corpse, and aggravated sexual assault, and received a life sentence behind bars. He's been incarcerated there for the past 6 years, enduring the harsh realities of prison life. In 2021, Madsen's sentence was extended by an additional 21 months due to a serious infraction. This added time was a consequence of a meticulously planned escape attempt involving a fabricated bomb threat. Fortunately, his bid for freedom was short-lived. Authorities swiftly apprehended him and returned him to his cell, thwarting his escape. A particularly intriguing aspect of this case is a Google Maps Street View image capturing Peter Madsen entering his submarine. This seemingly mundane snapshot takes on a chilling significance in light of subsequent events. During his confession, Madsen's words sent shivers down everyone's spines. He claimed that he never intended to kill Kim Wall, but his actions told a different story. His goal, he asserted, was to sink the Nautilus forever, consigning it to the depths of the ocean. This act of destruction, he admitted, meant accepting the tragic consequence that both he and the innocent journalist would perish within the submarine's hull. The precise details of how Kim Wall lost her life remain shrouded in mystery to this day. However, justice has been served, and Madsen will spend the remainder of his natural life incarcerated. He will never again have the opportunity to walk free and pose a threat to society. Porto Rotondo, not Porto Recondo, is a luxurious district in Sardinia, Italy. It's renowned for its opulent villas and breathtaking coastal scenery, pristine sandy beaches, and a plethora of upscale shops and restaurants. Back in 2002, an Italian entrepreneur decided to offload his luxurious villa in Porto Rotondo, Sardinia, for a seemingly paltry sum of €280. Due to the suspiciously low declared transaction value, the sale immediately triggered alarm bells for the Italian authorities, prompting the Guardia di Finanza, financial police, to leverage the power of Google Earth. As a key component in their investigation of the property, a crucial detail regarding the villa in question was the alleged presence of a swimming pool with a distinctly unique shape. This distinctive feature became the focal point of their search using satellite imagery. Upon locating the property via satellite imagery, the authorities quickly ascertained that they were dealing with a significant case of tax evasion. The true market value of the villa was estimated to be substantially higher, especially when compared to neighboring properties, which boasted valuations well into the millions. Armed with compelling evidence gleaned from Google's satellite imagery, the authorities confirmed their suspicions. The unnamed businessman had unequivocally perpetrated tax fraud. The Guardia di Finanza subsequently scrutinized the suspect's financial records, uncovered a staggering €7 million in hidden bank deposits that had gone unreported. These undisclosed funds had accumulated over a period of several years. This particular case proved challenging to investigate due to the scarcity of available information. The initial Italian news article provided minimal details, making thorough research difficult. Furthermore, There was no official confirmation from authorities regarding the accuracy of the report. The legal ramifications for the businessman involved remained unclear and unverified. However, it's reasonable to presume that his assets were likely confiscated by the authorities. Given the substantial sum of undeclared money, a prison sentence of several years would likely be the consequence for such a significant financial offense.